discussion, I was trying to see, okay, how does that transition with what I'm going to explain now? And I believe there are two essential objectives that we all have in this room, whereas we are lawyers or healthcare systems or insurance carriers. At the claims defense side, we try to fight against time and uncertainty. I would like to have the information to reduce the uncertainty of the outcome of my claim as early as possible, right? How can I find this information? I would like to have the information to reduce my claims handling process, to make it as short as possible so that I can focus on the resolution. I don't want to spend time on ancillary tasks, if possible. So this is what we will be talking about, and I will explain how one of the products we have developed using AI is actually providing prediction and assistance for claim management. This is the scenario you want to avoid. It's an actual data set from one of our clients. And what it shows essentially, you have different clusters of claims that are settled at consistent time. So on the x-axis is quarters, you can imagine years. And on the y-axis is just indemnity. What you can see is the longer the time to resolve a claim, the higher is the indemnity. No news to you. Of course, you all know that. What we realize, it's not only the indemnity is increasing, but the uncertainty is increasing. You see on the right-hand side, the clusters bars are higher, meaning for a similar time of resolution of the claim, you can have higher uncertainty. So claims can grow higher, and you know less and less. So what you want is to avoid the situation, to have the information as early as possible, and if it is possible to settle, settle. If you want to go on a verdict, you go on a verdict as early as possible before you incur all the time of your claims people, you incur all the legal fees, and the resentment also on both sides of the bar. This is one uncertainty, but when you are also an insurance or healthcare provider on several specialties, you have another uncertainty, and this is the uncertainty by specialty. So the chart is probably very small for you to read, but essentially you have a list of all the specialties. This is established over hundreds of thousands of claims, actually resolved over many years. And you can see that in cardiovascular practice or specialty, the uncertainty, the range of the claim outcome is much higher than, let's say, in ophthalmology. So we have cardiovascular here, we have ophthalmology here. The bars, the blue bar is really 75%, 80%, so the core part of the claim outcome. And then you have what we call the fences, which is all this bar. And then you have sometimes outliers, the dotted points, okay? So when you manage a system, a health system, or an insurance providing several specialties, you have to manage also this uncertainty. So we use data, which is both, of course, from public information, but mostly from private information, our clients ingesting data, to provide the prediction as early as possible with similar claims. Okay, and this is all what it is about. Should not be too complex. These are the technologies we use. The first technology we use is actually not artificial intelligence. It's just human expertise, law and economics. We are lawyers trained in data science and insurance, not the other way around. So we start by understanding what is a good law in each particular use case, in each particular jurisdiction. We start with that, and at the end of the modeling phase, when we predict the outcome, we check if it makes sense. If it does not make sense, if you cannot understand how the model works, we will not implement. We are not black box, we are just common sense, of course with the power of the engineering, of the artificial intelligence and the Data structuring, very important. You are overwhelmed with expert witness reports, with medical reports, some other data that are not structured. We use a technology, natural language processing, to structure this data and make it simpler to ingest. Modeling, classifier, regressors, this is the core of what I will present in a minute, and eventually the user interface that makes easy for you to communicate with the system. This is used for different use cases. Workflow automation, I will show that as a second example. Resource allocation, shall I allocate more resources on this claim, which seems easy, but actually the system detected some early warning sign, so maybe it could be escalating. Portfolio management and benchmarking. Benchmarking, as we saw, this is one part of the benchmarking. When we ingest your data, we compare with the market. And risk mitigation, which is where we start. So this is it's a mock-up case with one screenshot showing on the left-hand side the documentation of the claim. So the system will ingest the data from your own data. We avoid double documentation on the jurisdiction, on the injury, the prior incoming medication, the treatment, of course, which attorney, which law firm are involved on both sides, the circumstances of the accident, and all the like. On the right-hand side, you have the prediction and the outcome. So we provide, on the top right-hand side, this one-letter grade, which is the risk score from A to F. It's quite self-explanatory. The likelihood of litigation, the claim length, risk of devastating verdict or nuclear verdict, up to an actual dollar value range. And then you have here two graphs. One is the win rate, essentially what is the likelihood of incurring any indemnity at all, and the severity rate, which is the percentage of this indemnity incurred prediction compared to the benchmark of similar claims in our database. Now, we have run this mock case into an escalation. Time has evolved. You have more information. Here, for instance, more information about the county, and you will be pleased to know that Cook County is not the only one in this country where we have some issues. Bronx in New York has the same situation. Many others, I don't want to mention them all. And of course, we can document more the injury when you are into a later stage. And here you can see that the risk of devastating verdict has increased and the incurred loss prediction has increased. So here you have a higher severity rate. Now we can zoom out from this particular claim and see what are the stats of similar claims. And here you have on the left-hand side the pie chart, which is how many of those claims, similar claims, have ended up into any indemnity. This is non-zero loss, and of course, zero loss is 19%. The non-zero loss are detailed here, and this distribution shows how many have incurred 10% of our benchmark, how many have incurred up to 100% of our benchmark. So this is essentially on the right-hand side, the most severe claims. So you can position your particular claim, or your team can position their particular claims into the benchmark and know how they would position their own offer or respond to any demand. Next is the workflow automation. So let's assume that we have had good information about the reserve settling. We have good information about the stats and eventually the resolution. We know that we want also to reduce the claims handling process. We want to automate some ancillary tasks that are repetitive and not really creating any value. They are not helping the resolution. And these are into the workflow automation. We organize the workflow of each individual claim adjusters and we track the claim. So let's take an example of a milestones that we have developed over one actual claim. This is a new incoming claim. you see that there are different milestones here: the claim setting, the loss investigation, and all the way until the closing of the claim. And here the system has detailed all the actions for the claim setup. The task, for instance, here, acknowledge the receipt of the claim, create claim on all the systems. Essentially, every day, the claim adjuster will have a guidance on what are the priority tasks. Should I call my insured because I have maybe a settlement to consent? Or should I talk to my lawyer because now we have some limitation in the statute? Any kind of action that are priority are upfront in the system. And here, they can follow the evolution of the claim over time with the indemnity and hopefully the settlement value. This brings to actual savings. There are different buckets of savings. On the left-hand side, you have the random claims. So those claims which are not the extreme claims, the extreme indemnity we have discussed about this morning, but they are 95, 98% of the situation. Hopefully there are normal claims, but you can still increase consistency and we can reduce loss ratio from 3 to 5%. So reasonable, but many of those claims. So high volume, low value. But you have also those claims where we have focused our discussion today, and those we can reduce up to 14% just by avoiding the nuclear value, predicting it, and trying to find a solution before it becomes escalation. By the way, when we see this, of course the system is documenting from the first notification of loss. When we document the information from first notification of loss, we can preempt the possible escalation. Reduction in legal spend. Our lawyers are overwhelmed. They cannot do all at once. And just by focusing their resources into the most important actions is also a source of savings, up to 10% reduction. And here, I don't know if you can see that behind me, 25% time spent. This is often the largest bucket by increasing the productivity. Now, you don't need necessarily to recruit more because you have essentially an additional colleague with whom your team can speak. So, as you know, most of the claim adjustment practices are manual. If people are well organized, they can discuss between them within the same team. But now you have access to information outside of your own team in the market, and you have access to an artificial intelligence assistant. So this is really what we are talking about. Here we describe the return on investment template. So whenever we discuss with a prospect or client, we sit down and we evaluate what are the use cases, what are the return on investment of the work we will be providing. Very interestingly, some of our clients do not have major problems. They are leaders sometimes on their specialty or their region. However, they want to do better. So this is not only a technical issue. It's not about artificial intelligence. It's also about will, leadership, and as you discussed also, sharing information. You can be ambitious to improve the situation. And this is also about fact-based shared decision-making. Why would you take alone the responsibility to decide? Of course, you want to share with the lawyer. You want to share sometime with your insured. Some can be convinced by more science to the art. And so, essentially, I want to say that the implementation is very important. When you decide to work with those kind of systems, it is a low-risk change management, but it is also avoiding the risk of being superseded by the plaintiff bar. Everything we discussed this morning, you have to know that the plaintiff bar are already sharing information. Very often on the defense side, and that is our experience, insurance carriers feel that they would reveal too much if they share information. while respecting the antitrust law, I think it is our interest to share information, because don't think that on the other side they don't do it. They actually do it, and they have been doing it for a while now. Yeah, so just to finish, essentially questions are open, but yeah, go ahead. I think I've seen a question.
I was just asking on the last slide,
Yes,
you know, so it looks like you're capturing.
this one?
Yes. It looks like you're making an effort to reduce legal spending by capturing various data points. How do you account for the areas that can't be controlled, that are outside of the life of the litigation, the life of a claim, such as the delays in records, you know, the long lengthy time in getting information that the defense counsel can't act on, or the claims person can't act on, and then you're capturing the data points that the claims person's doing, but really, all of, there's certain things we just, or I can't do it, or the defense counsel can't act on it. That legal spending bucket, really, you know, it's hard to, I just feel like it would be hard unless you have some way around it that we can account for those third-party issues.
Yeah, so I believe that part of the answer is in what John said this morning, being reactive or proactive. When you are well informed, or at least you have more earlier information, you can be more proactive and not wait from the lawyer or even from the plaintiff their proposal. You can go and propose to your insured, to your client. I don't know if you are a
Well,
health
I'm on the
system.
claim side, but sometimes our analysis is gonna be contingent on the medical records.
Yep.
That are delayed for a year, right? So AI is great at capturing data points based on what's fed to it. But if you still don't have those answers, it seems like there's a little bit of uncertainty, even though you're doing your best.
Absolutely. We are not eliminating uncertainty. We can mitigate, we can reduce the uncertainty, but there is so much you can do. You're right.
But on the legal spend, the longer the case lives on, the longer spend is. So even though you're capturing it to some degree, there could be those outside forces that unfortunately.
That's true. You know, in our experience, many claims are not so extreme. And let's say the 80-20 rule, we have observed in many data sets some claims, very minor claims, I would say regular random claims, where a lawyer is involved, when there is legal spend involved, which is not very far from the actual indemnity outcome, whereas this same lawyer would be much better into a more serious claim. So yes, you're right. In some cases, we cannot reduce, and we have to wait for some medical record. But the point is, where do you allocate your resources? What is the priority resources? Something you cannot reduce, but some you can.
Frank, thank you so much for being part of this. I
Welcome.
do want to tell everybody that, you know, one of the things that we're trying to do, and I think Frank, you really helped us advance this, is to bring